We believe that wool is an amazing resource. Historically it was used for making garments, everything around the house, and it's a sustainable product. Nowadays it's more a byproduct for the meat. So we think it's really important that wool is used and has a value. So we're trying to help that along, and there's a massive kind of show scene of people like us that are wanting to help, not necessarily bring wool back, but show that it does have a value. So as well as the mohair, we have commercial blend yarn and also some Dorset yarn. So it's giving a value to farmers, local farmers, who perhaps might burn their wool or leave it sitting in a shed. So it's really important for us to kind of bring that on and help that. My name's Andrew Johnston, and this is my wife, Laurie-Anne Boschman. We are on Anfield Farm. It's my family farm. I grew up here, but Laurie-Anne's got a bit of a different story.
Yeah, so I'm obviously not Scottish. It's probably obvious when I chat. I've been in the UK just over 10 years now. Don't come from a farming background at all. My mum's a nurse, my dad works in hospitality, and I fell into farming a bit by accident in school and moved to Scotland, and then we met and we started all of this. But yeah, it's been a slightly different adventure to get there.
The wider farm, there's around 350 acres, a mixture of permanent pasture, and my dad does beef cows. There's malting barley as well, so I think it's around a 50-50 split between grazing and malting barley. And obviously the weather today isn't exactly ideal for getting that in.
So the goats were my idea. So as I said, I fell into farming a bit by accident in high school. So in France we've got what we call agricultural high school, which are like normal high school, but you also learn about like mechanics and farming in general. So I was on a school that had a farm, and part of my high school degree was having a farm placement, and being 15-year-old that I was, that didn't want to do like everyone else who was going for like beef farms and stuff like that. I looked into things that were a bit different, and I applied for an Angora goat farm and an alpaca farm. The alpaca farm never answered, and ended up on an Angora goat farm and just kind of fell in love with the breed. And I think it was when we started, I just really wanted goats. I like goats, and I've liked them for a long time, and they're easy enough. They can work on small spaces, so it was easy to like start a new venture with quite small animals. And it's also, from a budget point of view, they're a lot cheaper to buy than a couple of cows and things like that. So we've got goats, and yeah, for all we know, we could have had an alpaca farm, but it was a goat farm because yeah, that's just how it went. So Angora goats produce yarn. I'm not a morning person, so dairy doesn't work for me. Like getting out of bed at 5 a.m. to go and like milk goats or milk cows, it's just not something that I'm capable of doing, and I admire anyone who can do it, because I really can't. I think it's the Angoras, we shear them, they're fairly easy to keep, and then we just transform it into yarn and sell it on. There's something quite cute about a fluffy goat. That sounds stupid, isn't it? But they're nice, they've got a nice temper, and they're the only goats that don't try and jump fences and things like that. So meat goats are about twice the size of these ones, and have a tendency to like go everywhere and anywhere and need fences that are basically like watertight and windtight. And those ones are quite happy on the ground where they are. So they're just easier to keep, and they're really sociable, which makes it quite nice as well.
And should say the fleece that they produce is mohair. So that's the sole purpose of the goats, is they spend their whole life producing mohair. They grow about 6 inches every 6 months, so sheared twice a year. And that's their sole purpose in life. Nice, easy life.
Yeah, and we are completely no-kill, so we can use their fibre all the way through their life. They don't have an expiry date kind of thing. So we just keep them, even once they don't breed anymore and once they stop having babies, they'll just stay with us until the end of their normal life and just be shorn, and basically that's it. Their whole life is just eating and growing fleece, and that's that really. So we shear them twice a year. So we usually shear them in March, so just before kidding, just to try and keep everything clean. And then they'll be shorn again about October this year, so just before they go in with the buck. We used to get someone in for shearing, and then I've taken it on basically since the last shearing, so we're now doing it ourselves. The big difference for goats, for me anyway, is that I don't do them like sheep. So sheep, obviously, you sit them on their bum and you just shear them. But the goats, I shear them a bit more like a dog. So they're standing on their feet, and you just do like the top, the sides, the legs, and then we really just flip them to do the two sides on their belly. Because they're not bred for meat, they don't have as much meat on their bum. So sitting for a long time isn't really comfortable, and it would be quite stressful for them. And also, sheep tend to like quite hold themselves up, whereas goats have a tendency to play dead. So you're just trying to pull the goat up the whole time.
Pulling random limbs.
just pulling random limbs, hoping it comes up. So it's just easier for everyone, and I'm not quite capable of wrangling a goat, let's be honest. So after that, we do the same as what wool producers do. So we clean the fleeces, so the bits around the head, around the bum, the legs, all that gets discarded, and we keep the rest of the fleece. We send it away to a mill, so we blend our mohair at the moment. It's a 70-30 with Shetland fleeces that we get from quite a few farms, most of them fairly local, around Kinross and Perth area. But we have someone that we've been working with for a couple of years now who's just moved to Mull. So we now have fleeces coming from Mull just because that's where she is, and we get on really well with her. And it goes to the mill like that. They do the blend themselves, so they have like blending machine and carders and things like that, and they send us yarn back. So the whole process in the middle we don't do because we don't have the equipment to do it. Basically, we could do it by hand. Some people do, but we wouldn't be able to produce the quantities we have in the time we have. And then once it comes back to us, we dye it at home. So it's taken over the kitchen a little bit. There's just dye pots everywhere, colours everywhere, and yarn just sitting in water ready to be dyed. And then make the skeins back, which are like the twists of yarn basically. And then we sell that, obviously. That's the important part. That's how they pay for themselves, and hopefully that's how we'll pay ourselves one day. So yeah, that's kind of how it goes really. So we've got 3 different types of yarn at the moment. We obviously have our mohair blend, so a mohair Shetland blend, which is our own mohair and the Shetland. Then we have a Dorset, a pure Dorset yarn, which we get from a pedigree breeder just outside Kinross, that Andrew's known for 20 years or something like that. And she's kept Dorset, which are really good fibre sheep as well as meat sheep, so we get the Dorset from her. And then we've got some wool, basically just from the neighbours, the farm just next door to us. We bought some wool off of them this year. And we get some wool from a young farmer down in Goldbridge to do a commercial blend. So it's Suffolk Textile and a bit of Shetland as well, just because that's what they all have. So we have 3 different collections. I like calling them collections, that sounds really posh. It's just yarn, but collection make it sound really fashion. So I quite like calling them that. So yeah, and we've got 8 colours at the moment, plus the natural. Obviously we're working behind the scenes on getting more colours and more of a range in the future. So
we don't necessarily take ourselves too seriously. One of our colours is called Scottish Summer, and it's pretty much what you can see today. A lovely nice grey colour.
We thought it was quite fitting.
Yeah. So what's next? We want to grow the herd, the flock. We're planning our breeding, so this will be our 3rd year breeding. Yeah, 3rd year breeding. So we've got 3 bucks that we use. We split them between the females that we have, split them up depending on genetics, and then just kind of breed our way. We go to yarn shows, so we'll probably be looking to go to some more yarn shows. We've got 4 this year, had a couple, and we've got a couple to come. And then so we'll keep doing those, if we're allowed back. And yeah, just kind of keep going from there, keep supporting local fibre and local farmers, and yeah, hopefully showcase what mohair can do.